All right, what we're looking at here is the caliper for a 2018 Jeep Compass. And the problem that I have under normal circumstances, you can go into this screen, on the digitizer screen, and put this Jeep in service mode. This electric motor to service the brakes then sucks this piston in all the way, which gives you all kinds of room for the new pads. My pads are shot and they're squealing, and I got new rotors and pads. So now the real trick is, it looks like there's a Torx bit right there and there. I'm going to try to take the motor off and hopefully put something into the splines and basically get this piston to go in farther. Because everything says if you try taking channel locks and squeezing this, you'll damage the motor or the gears. It's a high torque DC motor. So it was a clip there to give me a little bit of slack. So this is what I'm up against. Obviously the adapter bracket will have to come off too. But for starters, I just wanted to see what I'm up against and see if I can get this motor off. And again, get that piston to compress. Basically do a manual override because I have no digitizer screen. It failed. I still got to get a new one. This thing is really biting me in the ass. All right, there's the squealer on the inside. See it right there? See how shiny it is? That thing's been going like crazy, and you can see clearly that this pad is annihilated. So the inside pad is really in rough shape, and so is this rotor. So I have new rotors and pads. But again, normally this is an easy tinky-tink job if you can get into the computer and put this thing in service mode. So I've got the vehicle lifted up. I've got the ignition in accessory so that I could use an electrical signal to manually at least disengage the brake. But that's all it does. It just disengages it and keeps each pad close to the rotor. The real trick is to get this thing to suck in further. And I'm going to try to do it by removing the electric motor and somehow getting in there to the splines and hopefully unthreading it to make the piston retract to handle the room of the thickness of the new pads to go on the rotor. Okay, the adapter brackets bolts on the back side, the two of them, are 17 millimeter. So I'm taking a chance. I'm pulling this all off and then hoping I can get that electric motor off. There it is, one shitty stock Jeep Compass rotor. I got to clean this hub all up. And I must have had these off before because there's a lot of anti-seize. I think when I first bought it, I undid the bolt that holds the rotor to the hub. Got behind it, anti-seized it all up, so I'm really happy about that. I mean, this would be such an easy job if my digitizer screen worked. But now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of trying to remove that electric motor and winding that piston back. All right, happily a T30, just barely. I'm using the little set that comes with my Wrangler Rubicon to get in here. And then there's another one on the other side. All right, I've separated the motor. I marked precisely where it was, how it went in. Good look, you got like basically just a starred little shaft right there. You can see here you got an O-ring. I'll clean all of that up, but what I'm hoping is that I can get a screwdriver or something in there that's user-friendly, and I can rotate this one way or the other to bring this piston back farther. So that's the whole purpose of this, basically trying to manually override the Jeep Compass electric emergency brake system because I don't have a means of doing it through the display screen. Basically, I was able to put the screwdriver in there and turn this gear assembly all the way, one way till it stops and all the way the other. It looked to me like turning it clockwise seemed to bring it in, because when I turned it counterclockwise, it definitely went the wrong way. I'm going to verify that. There's not much of a noticeable difference. All right, the moment of truth. I maxed it out. I mean, I don't see it going in any farther than that. I might try putting some channel locks on it just to see if it goes any farther, but I don't believe it's going to. Yeah, kind of surprised about that. So I'm still not even sure this is going to work yet. Okay, 2 new clips. I wire brushed the adapter bracket, put the clips in. Now I just got to do this side right here. This part's pretty self-explanatory. I'll put some goop in the guides right here on the pins. They're working good, but we'll take them apart and put some goop on them. You can see I got the pins out. Gonna put some brake lubricant on there, get them gooped. Slides are in. Gonna start assembling. Okay, you can see that the new clips are into the caliper adapter bracket. I got them all gooped up with the brake grease. And I also have the bolts prepped. Those are 17mm head bolts. Got some blue Loctite on them. So I'm gonna put the caliper adapter bracket on. Goes like so. And you can see I got a lug nut holding the rotor in place. So I'm moving forward with this, hoping that once I join the motor back up to the gearbox, that the piston's in far enough. New rotor's in, first pad's on. The second pad has the squealer, and that goes on the inside here, and I'm on the driver's side right here. All right, so basically what I've done is I turned the splines, I'm going to say clockwise, till it reached its limit with the motor off. It then allowed me to take my channel locks quite easily and gently squeeze the piston all the way in to clear the thickness of the new pads. So then I just had to rotate the motor so that the spline would fit. And I'm putting a little anti-seize on these bolts. I thought they were kind of corroded. There's a gasket in there, an O-ring, and just make sure it's all lined up. And then I marked exactly the orientation of this so I could put it back together the exact same way. So we'll see what happens. So now I'm buttoning up the motor. Then I'm gonna put the caliper onto the adapter bracket and squeeze it over the shoes. You can see I got the piston gooped up, the solid clamp portion. The pads are in position with new guides. The pins have been lubricated. The motor's back on for the e-brake. Next thing will be to fit this over the pads and tighten up those pin nuts. And the kit from AutoZone came with new nuts with Loctite on them, or new bolts with Loctite on them. All right, put a little lubrication on this to get the wiring connector in this bracket. Then they use this tiny little clip right here. It almost looks like a paper clip. This is for the brake line, goes through here, and you just put this clip back on. These are all tightened up with blue Loctite right here. Obviously, I used this little, I got this all anti-seized up nice, but this basically just centers the rotor nice and then lines up all the holes for the lug nut. So that's why that's kind of handy. And you can see all the anti-seize behind it, so these will always pop off good. So be really interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other one, and then we'll turn this car on and see if the electric e-brake adjusts itself and if it works. All right, just undid the 2 plugs from their brackets, undid the guides. I'm gonna pull the caliper off. And this is on the passenger side. All right, you can see the adapter bracket. I've got the new guides in there for the brake pads, all gooped up, cleaned up with a wire brush, ready to go. Gonna put some anti-seize around the hub, getting everything prepped. Then I'm going to take that electric motor off like I did on the other side, back it out in the opposite direction of it closing. And then at that point, it appears to let you very gently take a pair of channel locks and with ease put the piston in with the motor off. Then reattach the motor and then hook everything back up. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, I just separated the motor from the passenger side emergency brake. And you can see I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna get that screwdriver, determine if it's opposite on this side to relieve the pressure on the piston right here. And then I should be able to squeeze that in. Right now I can't squeeze it in at all. But I'm gonna back that off and see what happens. It should work out okay. You can see that the rotor's on, everything is gooped, the pads are in, so this is the last step, and then we'll put everything back together, and hopefully when I apply the brake, it will self-calibrate itself and be working and coming on and off and holding the vehicle. Okay, using that screwdriver right there, I was able to put it inside there. When I turned it counterclockwise, it expanded the piston. So I turned it clockwise all the way. till I hit the stopper and I couldn't turn it anymore. Now I'm going to take some channel locks and squeeze that piston back. Okay, the piston is all the way back. Now I'm going to reposition the motor, get that back on, and get this caliper on the adapter bracket bolt. The adapter bracket. So it should work out pretty good. Okay, I just started the car, and as you would expect, I had to pump the brakes many times, but now they feel good. You can see I still don't have my digitizer screen. So then I put my foot on the brake pedal and I pulled this lever up. And for almost 8 seconds, I heard it wind. Whee, you know, it just winds up. And now I believe my e-brakes are on. So to turn it off, you put your foot on the pedal, push the button down, it's just released. Put her in drive. Gonna move forward a little bit. Apply the brakes, very good. Now I'm gonna put it in park. What should happen is the e-brake should come on. And there it goes right there. So we do have the e-brakes on. If I was to put it in drive, take my foot off the gas, I go nowhere. Outstanding, home run. So, a nice way to bypass electronic emergency brake systems without the digitizer screen. There's tons of videos on YouTube on how to go into settings and disable it and put it into service mode, but I saw nothing on how to remove the motor, or even if you could manually unwind it to be able to compress the piston without damaging the motor itself. So pretty pleased with this. Came out well. All right, Recon Jeeper out. Okay, I'm just seating the brake pads now. They're working outstanding. I've been driving for a while, getting up to about 45 miles an hour, then braking down to 15 and just going back and forth. You can see it right there. Look at that, huh? Wow, great gripping. And basically, when you're seating the pads into the rotor, you're just trying to get brake material into the rotor, and then you get better traction, and you just have better brakes all the way around. So I'm gonna call this job a total success. Kudos again to AutoZone, lifetime warranty, saved $55 on the brake pads. The rotors were $62 a piece, and just a total success here. So no more noise, great brakes, new pads and rotors, front and rear, in the past 5 or 6 weeks. So that's it.